When SpaceX was down to its last rocket launch after 3 consecutive failures, I had to make a decision. Do we risk everything on one more attempt, or shut it all down and call it a day? The stakes couldn't have been higher. Failure meant the company would go bankrupt. Thousands of hours of work, gone. The dream of making humanity multiplanetary, dead. And yet, in that moment of immense pressure, we chose to launch. It worked. That launch, Falcon 1's 4th attempt, changed everything. It proved we could reach orbit, and it laid the foundation for everything SpaceX has achieved since. This is the reality of high-stakes decision-making. Whether you're trying to revolutionize space travel, steer your company through a market crash, or make a personal call that could change the course of your life, these moments define who you are. When the pressure is on, the clock is ticking, and failure feels inevitable. The choices you make determine your future. Billionaires aren't successful just because they've mastered making money. They've mastered the ability to thrive when most people would fold. What makes these moments so critical? It's not just the magnitude of the challenges, it's the combination of immense consequences, limited time, and no margin for error. When Tesla was weeks away from bankruptcy during the Great Recession, I had to decide whether to bet every dollar I had left to save the company. The alternative? Watch everything we'd built crumble. These decisions aren't about perfection. They're about resilience, focus, and the courage to act under pressure. In this book, we'll explore the mindset, strategies, and habits that allow leaders, whether it's the founders of Silicon Valley, the titans of Wall Street, or the everyday entrepreneur, to turn chaos into opportunity. These are the same principles that helped me and others navigate impossible odds, overcome failures, and emerge stronger on the other side. This isn't just about billionaires. It's about understanding universal principles of high performance that anyone can apply to thrive under pressure. Because the truth is, the ability to make great decisions in high-stakes moments isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. Chapter 1. When seconds count. In an instant, everything can change. One decision, in the blink of an eye, can be the difference between victory and defeat, life and death. Time isn't just money. It's the most valuable resource we have. Yet, when the stakes are highest, it's also the rarest. Think about it. What would you do if you were leading a company and a market crash hit suddenly? Or if you were a first responder rushing into a disaster zone? The clock's ticking, and there's no time for long deliberations. Every decision counts. Like the pressure I've felt when deciding whether to keep pouring resources into SpaceX's Falcon rockets, even when we failed the first few launches. Those moments don't give you the luxury of time. In these high-pressure scenarios, hesitation is the enemy. A CEO's quick call in a PR crisis can save, or sink, a company. A doctor's decision in the ER can determine a life. These aren't just choices. They're forks in the road that can change everything. So, what exactly makes these moments high stakes? It's a combination of 3 things: massive consequences, irreversible choices, and the relentless ticking clock. When time's running out, you don't have hours to gather data or consult with a team. You need to act, and fast. Whether it's saving a life, sealing a deal, or avoiding a catastrophe, time is the ultimate test. The cost of hesitation in these situations? Catastrophic. Missed opportunities, escalating disasters, or even lives lost. Think about it. What if I hesitated when I had to decide whether to keep going with Tesla after we hit bankruptcy? Every decision feels like it could break you or make you. But time pressure isn't just for business or life-and-death situations. It sneaks into personal decisions, too. Maybe you're swerving on the highway to avoid an accident, or quickly deciding whether to take a risky chance in your career. These moments shape our trajectory, and how we respond can change everything. Here's the thing about time in high-stakes moments. It compresses. What normally feels like a thought-out decision suddenly becomes a snap judgment. That's when we need to recognize the urgency signals, whether they're loud alarms or subtle shifts in the environment. Recognizing these signals can be the difference between managing the situation or letting it spiral. But here's the trap. Urgency isn't always the same as importance. Too often, we get caught up in putting out fires and forget to address the bigger issues. You know, the ones that aren't immediately on fire but could be the key to long-term success. That's the real challenge, balancing urgency with importance. And traditional decision-making models don't cut it when you're under pressure. There's no time for meetings or endless data checks. That's why you need rapid decision techniques. These are strategies that work under pressure, not to make rash decisions, but to make smart, fast choices when there's no time to waste. These techniques include everything from quick prioritization to scenario planning in seconds. It's about filtering out the noise and focusing on what matters most. No paralysis, no overthinking, just action. A structured approach in these situations is everything. It gives you control and direction. It's like having a GPS when the road ahead is unclear. When the pressure's on, it's easy to freeze. Having a framework to follow keeps you moving forward. This book is not about eliminating pressure. That's impossible. It's about equipping you with the mindset and tools to thrive under it. Each chapter will build your ability to make quick, confident decisions, from understanding how time pressure messes with your mind, to mastering the art of filtering information, to applying adaptive strategies. You'll walk away with a toolkit designed for high-stakes moments. You're not here just for theory. This is practical. You'll apply these skills to real-world situations. And throughout this book, there will be exercises designed to sharpen these skills. So when the heat's on, you're ready. It's time to commit. Mastering rapid decision-making isn't just about learning a new technique. It's about rewiring how you think under pressure. It means embracing discomfort, stepping out of your comfort zone, and reshaping your decision-making habits. Most importantly, it's about building confidence and knowing when you don't have all the answers, but you still need to make the call. So, what's your goal? At first, it's about understanding the value of rapid decision-making. You'll begin to recognize how time pressure messes with your decision-making, and you'll start practicing basic techniques. But this is just the beginning. Over time, you'll develop the ability to make accurate, high-speed decisions under pressure. Eventually, you might master frameworks so well that you become the go-to person in a crisis. The journey is simple, but intense. First, we'll explore strategies designed specifically for high-stakes situations. These aren't your average decision-making tools. Then, we'll dive into the psychology behind time pressure, understanding how your brain reacts and how to control it. Finally, you'll learn to apply frameworks that will turn theory into action. This chapter is just the start. The challenges ahead are tough, but with the right mindset and tools, mastering high-stakes decision-making is achievable. When the next high-pressure moment comes, you'll be ready. Time's ticking. The stakes are high. And the next chapter? It'll arm you with strategies to handle the psychology of time pressure and turn it to your advantage. And hey, before we continue, if you're serious about mastering this, don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications so you get the tips that'll supercharge your decision-making. Like and share this video too. It really helps get this message out there. Let's get started. Chapter 2. Time Pressure. Tick-tock. The clock doesn't stop. Time waits for no one. But when you're under the gun, feeling the pressure of a ticking clock, it's like every second becomes a weight on your shoulders. You can feel it, right? That intense urgency when you're forced to make a life-changing decision in moments. It can turn the calmest person into a bundle of nerves, scrambling to think clearly. What happens to our minds when time's running out? Why do we sometimes make snap decisions that we regret? We'll break it down. The truth is, time pressure doesn't just mess with your head, it rewires your brain. You need to understand it to master decision-making when the stakes are high. Look at it like this. You're in a SpaceX rocket, nearing launch. Everything has to go right. but you've only got a split second to decide. Do you push through or abort? When time's the enemy, your body and brain start reacting fast. Your heart's racing, palms sweating, adrenaline kicks in. It's your body's instinct to prepare for battle. But beneath the surface, it's chaos. Your brain is under siege, too. Here's the thing. Your focus narrows. It's like when you're zeroing in on one problem, blocking out everything else. But it's a double-edged sword. While it helps you focus, it can also blind you to other crucial details. Your working memory is like a computer running too many apps at once. It starts lagging. You might not even realize it, but you're slowing down. Now, throw anxiety into the mix. It's like having a glitch in the system that messes with your decision-making. You might start overestimating risks, playing it too safe when you need to take a calculated risk. Or worse, you might impulsively make a snap decision just to escape the discomfort of uncertainty. And that's where things go south fast. So how do you control the chaos? It all comes down to mastering emotional control. This isn't some theoretical concept. This is practical, real-world stuff. It starts with being self-aware. Can you feel your thoughts speeding up? Your chest tightening? When you notice this, you've got a moment to pause, regain control. One of the best tricks is controlled breathing. Simple, but effective. A few deep breaths, and you'll activate your body's calm-down system, cutting through the panic and giving you clarity. In the high-stakes world of Tesla and SpaceX, those moments of clarity can make or break a decision. But let's talk about another sneaky villain: cognitive biases. Your brain loves shortcuts. It's built to make fast decisions, but sometimes those shortcuts lead to poor choices. Under pressure, these biases come out like never before. Take confirmation bias. You're searching for info that backs up what you already believe, ignoring anything that doesn't fit. Under time pressure, this can distort everything. Then there's the availability heuristic. Your brain tends to give more weight to dramatic, recent events, even if they have nothing to do with the situation at hand. It's like reacting to a near miss on the freeway and then overestimating the risk of driving. So, how do you deal with this? Awareness is your first defense. Recognizing that your mind is playing tricks on you is step one. Step two is mindfulness. It's about giving yourself that brief space between a stressful situation and your reaction. This space is where the magic happens, where you can spot those biases before they hijack your choices. Another tool in your arsenal? Checklists. Seems counterintuitive in a high-pressure moment, right? You've got seconds to decide, so why slow down? But here's the thing. A well-crafted checklist gives you a mental framework that can actually speed things up. It ensures you're not overlooking critical info, letting you make faster, more accurate decisions under fire. Now, there are two extremes you need to watch out for: analysis, paralysis, and impulsiveness. Both are dangerous. In SpaceX, every second counts. If you freeze and don't act when you need to, you've missed your shot. But on the flip side, impulsive decisions without a second thought can lead to disaster. The key is balance. How do you avoid falling into these traps? By having a structured approach. Set clear criteria. What's good enough information to act on? Having pre-established decision-making frameworks means you're not fumbling around in the moment, trying to figure it out. You've got a plan. Another pitfall? Overconfidence. In high-stakes situations, it's easy to think you've got it all under control. That's when mistakes happen. Humility is a key safeguard. Don't be afraid to challenge your own assumptions, even when time's tight. That humility could be the difference between making a good call and a costly mistake. You need to know your decision-making style. Some people freeze under pressure. Others leap into action without thinking. Do you find yourself getting lost in the details or rushing through decisions? Ask yourself, how do I react under pressure? Answering these questions will give you insight into your strengths and weaknesses. This isn't about finding the right answer immediately. It's about understanding yourself and getting better. Look, there are personality assessments that can give you a clearer picture of how you act under pressure. Don't treat them like gospel, but use them to uncover blind spots. And once you know your tendencies, tailor your strategies. Are you impulsive? Then take a moment before reacting. Do you overthink? Set strict time limits to avoid paralysis. This isn't something you just figure out in one go. Mastery comes through practice. Simulations, where you create high-pressure scenarios and practice decision-making, are one way to prepare. In the same way we test rockets, you need to test yourself. Each time you face pressure, reflect on what worked and what didn't. Learn from every experience. Bias recognition drills are also crucial. Put yourself in situations where you have to spot and challenge cognitive biases in real time. The more you practice, the quicker you'll be at noticing when your brain is leading you astray. So, what does success look like in the world of time-pressure decision-making? It's not about being perfect. Perfection is a myth. The goal is to become aware of your biases, manage your emotions, and keep your head clear in the heat of the moment. When you can do that, you're not just reacting, you're acting with purpose. The best outcome? You can handle high-pressure situations, make well-informed choices, and navigate through the storm with confidence. But the journey doesn't end here. The next chapter is where things get interesting. We'll explore rapid decision-making frameworks that can change the way you think when every second counts. Trust me, these frameworks will take your decision-making game to the next level. Chapter 3. Rapid Frameworks. In a high-pressure moment, when the clock's ticking and the stakes are sky-high, how do you make sure your decisions aren't just fast, but spot-on? This is where rapid frameworks come into play. But what exactly are these frameworks, and how can they completely shift the way you make decisions in a crisis? Imagine having a mental GPS, a blueprint that sharpens your thinking and guides your actions even in the chaos of the moment. That's the power of rapid frameworks. They help you cut through the noise, making sure your decisions are fast and precise. The impact of these frameworks is massive. In stressful situations, it's easy for your mind to spiral into overwhelm, leading to either analysis paralysis or snap decisions that aren't well thought out. A solid framework gives you a structure to fall back on, keeping you grounded when everything around you feels like it's spinning out of control. It's like the SpaceX rocket launch protocol, clear, defined steps that reduce the guesswork and ensure you're always moving toward your goal. And here's the kicker. These frameworks build your confidence. With a proven method to follow, you're less likely to freeze up or second-guess yourself when every second matters. Confidence isn't just nice to have. It's what can separate victory from defeat in critical moments. So, how do you design a framework that works under pressure? Let's look at one of the most effective decision-making tools, the RADAR method. RADAR stands for Recognize, Assess, Decide, Act, and Review. It might sound simple, but in those high-stakes moments, it's a powerful, structured approach that can help you make decisions fast without sacrificing accuracy. Step 1. Recognize the first step? Recognizing the situation. This is about quickly identifying the core issues you're dealing with. It's not about gathering all the data under the sun. It's about cutting through the noise and seeing what really matters. Think about launching a new product at Tesla. If you're flooded with data and feedback, it's easy to get distracted. You need to zoom in on the key things that will determine success or failure. Fast recognition is everything in a crisis. Step 2. Assess. Once you've recognized the situation, it's time to assess the options. This is where you do a quick evaluation of what's on the table, weighing the risks and rewards. No need for a deep dive. This isn't about overanalyzing. It's about picking the most promising options. It's like choosing a supplier for SpaceX. Too much data is just noise. You don't need a full-on risk matrix. Just assess the major factors in front of you and move forward. Step 3. Decide. Now comes the hard part. Deciding. Under pressure, people often freeze, caught between 1,000 possibilities. The radar method forces you to commit, Because in most cases, any decision is better than none. Look at how we launched the Tesla Model 3. It wasn't perfect, but making the decision to go full throttle was key. The longer you wait, the more time you waste. So, decide and move on. Step 4. Act. This is where the rubber hits the road. Once you've decided, it's time to execute. And this is crucial. Speed is the name of the game. In business, as in space missions, you need to be fast but effective. Preparing in advance by having action plans for possible scenarios can make all the difference. This isn't about being reckless. It's about being decisive. Step 5. Review. Finally, after you've taken action, take a moment to review. It's easy to skip this phase when things seem to be working, but it's one of the most important steps. Learning from your decisions, whether they're a hit or a miss, helps you fine-tune your approach for the next round. Just look at how SpaceX iterates on each rocket launch. Each failure is a learning opportunity. You have to make reviewing part of your process to continually improve. The radar method isn't just a nice theory, it's a tool you can use to get faster and smarter in making decisions under pressure. Without a framework, your mind can easily get overwhelmed, jumping from thought to thought with no clear direction. But with radar, you know exactly what to do. Recognize the problem, assess the options, decide, act, and then review. This structured approach clears the fog and helps you focus your energy where it's most needed. How do you apply radar in the moment? Here's where it gets real. How do you actually use radar when the pressure is on? Let's break it down. Recognition phase. In the first 30 seconds of any crisis, you need to get a mental snapshot of the situation. Ask yourself, what's the biggest threat or opportunity? Who's involved? What resources do I have? This rapid mental snapshot sets the stage for everything that follows. Assessment phase. Now, it's time to evaluate your options, and this is where most people fail. Don't get bogged down in endless analysis. Use an urgent important matrix to quickly prioritize your choices. In the real world, you're not deciding what color the rocket should be. You're deciding how to land it safely. Focus on what's urgent and important. Decision phase. Once you've assessed the options, decide. Set a deadline for your decision and stick to it. Remember, speed counts. If you wait too long, the window of opportunity may close. In business, this might look like a decision to scale. Decide if you're going for the big leap or sticking with the pilot. Don't hesitate. Action phase. This is the execution phase. At SpaceX, we don't just sit around. Once we've decided, we execute with speed. Have plans ready so you can adjust to the situation quickly. The faster you act, the more control you have. Review phase. Finally, reflect. You've acted. Now assess what worked and what didn't. Even during a crisis, review your results and fine-tune your approach. It's about turning every decision into a stepping stone to improve. It's the difference between merely surviving and thriving in high-stakes situations. How to master rapid frameworks. You can't just memorize radar and expect to be a decision-making ninja. It takes practice, regular drills, creating scenarios, applying radar under time pressure, and reviewing your performance will help internalize the process. Over time, you'll move through the steps instinctively, almost automatically, even when things are chaotic. Simulate high-pressure situations to make the experience as realistic as possible. You can't expect to react effectively under pressure unless you've trained for it. Make your drills as close to real life as you can. This way, when the real test comes, you'll be ready to perform. Mastery. You'll know you've truly mastered radar when it feels like second nature. At this stage, you don't have to think through every step consciously. It becomes instinct. That's when you start making quick, confident decisions, even in the most high-pressure moments. This is how you win the big battles, by not just applying frameworks, but making them part of your DNA. There's a catch, though. Avoid the pitfalls, over-reliance on the framework, skipping steps, or not reviewing. These are the traps that can make all your preparation meaningless. Each phase matters. Don't rush through or skip it. Flexibility is also key. Radar is a tool, not a set of rigid rules. Apply it, but adapt to the situation. In the end, frameworks like RADAR aren't just a theoretical idea. They're practical tools for making smarter, faster decisions when it counts. But they're only part of the puzzle. In the next chapter, we'll talk about information triage, how to quickly filter through the flood of data and find the signal that actually matters. Because when you're in a high-stakes moment, it's not about gathering all the information. It's about using the right information at the right time. How do you separate the noise from the signal when every second counts? Trust me, you'll want to know. Chapter 4. Information triage in high-stakes situations. When you're racing against time, every second matters. In moments of high pressure, information is both your greatest weapon and your most dangerous pitfall. Take SpaceX during the early rocket launches. Failure after failure left us with limited resources and even less time. To make it, we had to sift through mountains of data, engine diagnostics, trajectory simulations, telemetry feeds, all while knowing that one overlooked piece of information could doom the mission. That's where mastering information triage comes in. So, what exactly is information triage? Think of it as the art of rapidly identifying what's critical and ignoring the rest. It's like being in the control room during a Falcon 1 launch, cutting through chaos, focusing only on the data that truly impacts the outcome. Whether you're making a split-second call on a rocket trajectory, managing the complexities of Tesla's supply chain, or deciding on a personal life pivot, this skill isn't just helpful, it's essential. Information overload is real. I've seen it firsthand. When you're working on 5 massive projects at once, whether it's scaling Tesla's Model 3 production or finalizing the design for Starship, it's easy to drown in endless streams of numbers, reports, and opinions. But here's the deal. Focusing on everything means focusing on nothing. The key is to find the signal in the noise. And if there's one thing you learn while trying to land rockets on drone ships or building reusable spacecraft, it's this. Success depends on your ability to pinpoint the vital 20% of information that drives 80% of the results. This concept, known as Pareto's Law, is a cornerstone of effective decision-making. It's how we prioritize the development of reusable rockets at SpaceX and how we streamlined production bottlenecks at Tesla. Not all problems are equal. Some have outsized impacts. The trick is figuring out which ones. When we were running out of time and money at Tesla during the Model S production ramp, we had to zero in on the critical choke points. What were the 1 or 2 factors that, if fixed, could turn the whole situation around? That's the essence of information triage. In practice, it starts by asking, what's the one piece of data that could change the outcome right now? At SpaceX, this could be a single anomaly in engine performance or a slight deviation in orbital trajectory. Pattern recognition becomes your best friend in these scenarios. When the same issue surfaces repeatedly, you know it's not just noise, it's a signal. Equally important is learning to ignore irrelevant details. When time is short, there's no room for obsessing over minutiae that won't move the needle. One of the hardest decisions I've made was during the Falcon Heavy's maiden launch. With so many variables in play, we had to let go of non-critical concerns to focus on the essentials, the booster landings and payload deployment. It's a lesson I carry into every decision. Does this really matter? If not, let it go. Redundancy is another trap to avoid. In a high-stakes environment, you'll often hear the same thing from multiple sources. While it's reassuring to see patterns, it can also lead to cognitive clutter. At Tesla, for instance, we streamlined communication channels during the Model 3 ramp-up to ensure every team member was aligned. Consolidating information not only saved time, but also ensured we acted on the right data. You also need clear criteria for evaluating information. Reliability, relevance, and immediacy are your guiding lights. Is the source trustworthy? Does this data directly impact the decision? Is this something that requires action now? At Neuralink, for example, we've developed systems to prioritize feedback loops, ensuring we focus only on what accelerates progress toward our goal of creating seamless brain-computer interfaces. Still overwhelmed? That's cognitive overload, and it's something I've faced countless times. The solution is simplification. Break down complex problems into manageable chunks. Visual aids like decision trees or mind maps are invaluable. They help you see connections at a glance and reduce mental strain. Delegation is another critical tactic. I've learned this the hard way. You can't do it all alone, whether it's SpaceX, Tesla, or the Boring Company. Trust your team and distribute tasks effectively. The goal is clear communication and swift execution. At SpaceX, for instance, our mission control teams operate like a finely tuned machine, each person laser-focused on their piece of the puzzle. Streamlining your information channels is equally vital. During the heat of the Model Y launch, we created systems to filter out noise and prioritize actionable insights. Whether it's preset digital filters or designated team leads, reducing clutter improves speed and accuracy. And then there's verification, something I emphasize constantly. Bad data is worse than no data. In 2015, when we were diagnosing the cause of a Falcon 9 explosion, quick but rigorous cross-checking of telemetry data was critical to pinpointing the issue. Trust your sources, but always double-check. Mastering information triage also means building mental models. These frameworks let you organize data for fast retrieval. Whether it's Tesla's production algorithms or SpaceX's trajectory calculations, having structured systems ensures clarity under pressure. Finally, practice. Yes, practice. When we develop spacecraft, we simulate every imaginable failure scenario. You can do the same with information filtering drills. Get a bunch of data, sift through it under time pressure, and focus on what truly matters. This builds the muscle memory you'll need in real-world crises. Ultimately, mastering information triage is about turning chaos into clarity. It's the skill that allows us to make rapid, high-impact decisions, whether it's landing rockets or scaling renewable energy solutions. But triage is only the beginning. Turning filtered information into actionable decisions is the next step. In the next chapter, we'll explore quick analysis techniques, the mental shortcuts that allow you to evaluate options in real time. How does the brain decide what matters most in milliseconds? And what if you could harness that power to make better calls faster? Let's dive in. Chapter 5. Quick analysis. When every second counts, how do you ensure that your decisions aren't just quick, but also sharp? In high-stakes environments, making fast, informed decisions isn't a luxury. It's a survival skill. But what does it really mean to analyze quickly? And how can you do it effectively when the pressure is unbearable? Quick analysis is about distilling complex choices into manageable chunks and then deciding with precision. It's like running a hyper-efficient neural network in your brain, breaking down the fog of uncertainty into clear, actionable insights. This skill is what separates those who thrive under pressure from those who falter. The ability to quickly size up your options, adapt to new information, and pivot if necessary is often the difference between grabbing a game-changing opportunity and watching it slip through your fingers. So, how can you perform this type of analysis without sacrificing accuracy? The key is using the right tools. Streamlined, simplified methods that give you just enough information to make a sound decision quickly. In these moments, you're not going to do an exhaustive analysis. You're going to cut to the core, stripping away everything that's not essential. One of the most effective tools in your rapid decision toolkit is the simplified decision tree. But what is it exactly, and how do you use it when time is short? A decision tree is essentially a map that lays out your choices and potential outcomes. It's not about listing every possible option. It's about seeing the big picture quickly. The real power of a decision tree lies in its simplicity. Just like launching a rocket, You focus on the key decisions, the ones that will determine the success or failure of the mission. In high-stakes situations, time is of the essence, so sketching out a decision tree in a few moments can give you the clarity you need to move fast. Start by drawing your current situation at the base of the tree. Branch out to your main options. At the end of each branch, add the most likely outcomes. Don't drown in details. Simplify it. Focus on the most likely scenarios and ignore the outliers. It's like Elon Musk testing SpaceX rockets. He looks at the few crucial variables that will either make the mission a success or a failure. Every other variable can wait. You might wonder, when is the decision tree the most useful? It's perfect when you're facing a series of interconnected choices or need to visualize the consequences of different options quickly. When you map it out visually, patterns emerge. You can often see risks or opportunities you might have missed in a rush. Another killer tool is the analysis matrix. This one helps you quickly compare alternatives based on specific criteria. How do you set it up under time pressure? Start with the options you're evaluating as your rows. Across the top, write down the criteria you'll use to evaluate them. At each row-column intersection, you'll rate how well each alternative stacks up. The matrix lets you zoom out, assess multiple options in parallel, and get a clearer view of the situation. But how do you pick the right criteria when time is running out? You need to focus on the things that really matter, the non-negotiables. What factors will change the outcome? For instance, in deciding whether to go to Mars, the most critical criteria were cost, technology, and safety. You want to rank these criteria based on their importance. A quick way to do this is to assign them a simple score. For example, on a scale of 1 to 3, with 3 being the most important. Sometimes you need to act even faster than that. This is where the 3-branch method shines. It forces you to come up with at least 3 alternatives to avoid getting stuck in a single line of thinking. These might include your gut instinct, its opposite, and a completely different option. By forcing yourself to think beyond the obvious, you increase the chances of finding the optimal solution. Once you've generated your options, don't overanalyze. Quickly evaluate the pros and cons. Top 3 for each. Don't get bogged down in the details. Instead, think about the short-term and long-term effects of each decision. For example, when launching Tesla's Model S, the pros were clear, an electric car with superior performance, but the cons were about high manufacturing costs. So, the question was, could the future justify the current risks? In high-stakes decisions, risk is always lurking. How do you assess it quickly? One fast method is to identify the worst-case scenario for each option. If things go wrong, what's the worst that could happen? Another trick is rapid risk ranking, categorizing risks as high, medium, or low based on their impact and likelihood. It's like when SpaceX was testing reusable rockets. If the landing failed, the risk was massive, but the upside of success was exponential. Heuristics, or mental shortcuts, can also be a game-changer. These are rules of thumb that help you make decisions faster. For example, if you can think of 3 ways something could fail, it's probably a high-risk option. Another is the gut check. If something feels off, it probably is. Use your intuition to cut through the noise, but always temper it with logic. Does the risk assessment match your experience? Does it pass the smell test? But even in high-stakes situations, intuition and experience play a critical role in estimating probabilities. You don't have time to run full simulations. Instead, use your past experiences to guide you. Have you faced something similar before? Pattern recognition also plays a huge role. Your brain is wired to spot trends, and this ability can be an invaluable shortcut in rapidly assessing probabilities. Be careful, though. Don't fall for the randomness illusion, where you think you spot a pattern that doesn't exist. Always test your hypothesis by considering alternative explanations. Practice is essential to mastering quick analysis. Just like SpaceX engineers constantly run simulations, You need to practice building decision trees, setting up analysis matrices, and evaluating alternatives under time pressure. Start with simple cases, then gradually make them more complex. Over time, you'll increase your decision-making speed and accuracy. As you get better, aim for competence, then excellence, and finally, mastery. At the mastery level, you're not just reacting to situations, you're anticipating them, using your tools instinctively to make optimal decisions under pressure. You're not just fighting the clock, you're controlling it. However, beware of pitfalls. Don't oversimplify when the situation demands more detail. Likewise, avoid analysis paralysis. Don't make the mistake of overcomplicating things in the name of thoroughness. Finally, ensure that you don't overlook key factors in your haste. In the rush to decide, always ask, have I accounted for everything important? Quick analysis techniques, when mastered, will give you the power to make decisions under pressure with confidence. They'll help you tackle complex, time-sensitive challenges head-on, whether it's in business, technology, or life. But even with all these tools, the unexpected is always lurking. In the next chapter, we'll dive into scenario planning, a strategy that lets you anticipate multiple futures. Could this hidden technique be the key to unlocking even greater decision-making power? Let's find out. Chapter 6. Scenario Planning. In high-stakes decision-making, the ability to anticipate the future is everything. The real question is, how do you predict what's coming, especially when the clock's ticking? Scenario planning is your answer. This isn't about gazing into a crystal ball, it's about being smart and strategic, using what we know to predict what could happen next. Picture this: knowing what's coming, preparing for the unexpected, and staying calm under pressure. That's the essence of scenario planning. And if you need proof of its power, just look at how SpaceX prepares for rocket launches. Every mission is layered with contingencies, anticipating every possible failure point, from hardware glitches to weather anomalies. It's this relentless preparation that has turned what once seemed impossible, reusable rockets, into routine reality. At its core, scenario planning is like creating a mental map of the future. It's not about knowing the future for certain, but about visualizing a range of possibilities. Instead of hoping things will turn out the way you expect, you build strategies for what could happen, good or bad. This flexibility is crucial. Elon Musk once described the process of managing Tesla during its most challenging years as staring into the abyss while chewing glass. It wasn't just about fixing immediate problems, it was about thinking 10 moves ahead. That ability to predict obstacles before they appear gives you an edge, making you ready for whatever comes your way. Mastering this skill isn't just a nice-to-have, it's essential in high-pressure situations. So, how do you create these future maps on the fly, especially when time is scarce and pressure's high? The answer lies in rapid scenario mapping. This technique allows you to sketch out potential futures quickly, giving you an instant overview of what might happen. Start by identifying the key factors that influence your decision, things like market shifts or resource availability. For instance, during the early days of the Tesla Model 3 production ramp-up, the team had to account for variables like supply chain delays, assembly line issues, and market demand fluctuations. Mapping out these scenarios allowed them to prepare for best case, worst case, and most likely outcomes. The goal isn't perfect prediction, but rather preparing for a range of outcomes so you can react swiftly when the unexpected hits. One technique that's proven invaluable in Musk's ventures is the 5-minute pre-mortem. Here's the idea. Imagine your plan has failed, and you're looking back at what went wrong. Sounds strange, right? But it's a powerful way to expose risks you might have missed. For example, before SpaceX's first successful Falcon 1 launch, the team conducted exhaustive post-mortems on previous failures to pinpoint what could go wrong. By mentally walking through a failure, they identified potential pitfalls and fortified their strategies. When you do this, you'll ask yourself, what went wrong? What assumptions were flawed? This practice uncovers hidden risks and strengthens your plans before you even begin. But here's the real kicker: contingency planning. Fast, effective contingency plans let you switch gears when things change. Think of the emergency escape system built into SpaceX's Crew Dragon. If anything goes wrong during launch, the spacecraft automatically switches to a safety-first protocol, ejecting the crew to safety. This is the essence of setting triggers, predefined moments when you'll pivot or execute a backup plan. In your own high-pressure scenarios, establishing these triggers in advance ensures you won't waste precious time debating your next move when the stakes are high. Even with the best plans, things can go sideways, especially in dynamic environments. That's why adaptability is crucial. Musk often emphasizes that staying rigid in the face of new information is a recipe for disaster. Instead, you have to embrace uncertainty and reassess your assumptions as new data comes in. This doesn't mean scrapping your strategy at the first sign of trouble. It's about staying agile and adjusting based on the latest inputs. Quick decision cycles, like the iterative approach SpaceX takes with Starship development, allow for constant reassessment and refinement, ensuring you're always ahead of the curve. To master scenario planning, practice is key. Think of it as training your brain to think like a chess player, always calculating a few moves ahead. Start with simple scenarios, then increase the complexity. Time-constrained exercises force you to focus on what truly matters. Pre-mortem sessions are another excellent tool. By imagining failure before it happens, you develop a sharper eye for potential risks. Over time, this builds your ability to spot trouble before it arises, just like the SpaceX engineers, who now anticipate potential anomalies long before liftoff. At its peak, scenario planning becomes second nature. You're not just predicting the future, you're shaping it. This level of mastery allows you to proactively address potential issues before they emerge. But remember, even seasoned strategists can make mistakes. One common pitfall is ignoring unlikely scenarios simply because they seem far-fetched. Musk's ventures have often faced such challenges. Who would have thought landing rockets on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean was possible? By considering even the most improbable outcomes, you ensure your plans are as robust as possible. By mastering scenario planning, you gain more than just foresight. You gain control. Whether you're anticipating market shifts, engineering breakthroughs, or personal challenges, the ability to prepare for the unexpected will set you apart. But there's more to success than just planning. In the next chapter, we'll dive into adaptive action, a strategy that will help you execute your plans with precision and speed. What hidden techniques could transform the way you pivot and adapt in real time, staying on target even when chaos strikes? Let's explore. Chapter 7. Adaptive Action. Plans, no matter how carefully laid, often fall apart when the unexpected hits. But imagine if you could navigate these storms with ease and turn chaos into an advantage. What if you could flip potential disasters into stepping stones for success? That's where adaptive action comes in. But what exactly is it? And why is it a game-changer in high-pressure situations? At its heart, adaptive action is about staying flexible. It's the ability to adjust on the fly without losing sight of your final goal. It's not just reacting to the situation, but being ready before the situation changes. Think of it like Tesla's constant updates, making small tweaks to improve performance, ensuring the car drives itself better every day, no matter what the road throws at it. Mastering adaptive action is essential when the stakes are high. Your ability to pivot quickly could be the difference between victory and failure. It's what keeps you on track when things veer off course, ensuring your mission stays alive even when the path doesn't look like you expected. But how do you actually stay adaptable in execution? It starts by acknowledging that your plan might need tweaking along the way. It's about recognizing that rigidity can kill momentum. Instead, you need to look for opportunities as they appear, staying nimble and adjusting fast to capitalize on them. Take SpaceX, for example. The company didn't wait for perfection to land rockets. They adjusted, failed, learned, and then improved. One way to stay agile is to continuously monitor progress. Setting up systems to track key metrics and milestones helps you spot when things start to go off track. This is where feedback loops come into play. Feedback isn't just about collecting data. It's about actively using that data to drive your next move. By staying on top of real-time feedback, you can make better, faster decisions without getting bogged down in analysis paralysis. Then there's the fail-forward philosophy, a way to look at failure not as a setback, but as a step toward success. Why embrace failure, especially when everything's on the line? Because failure isn't just inevitable. It's a learning tool. It's how you turn mistakes into breakthroughs. Elon didn't build SpaceX and Tesla by avoiding failure. He welcomed it, using each misstep to come back stronger. The fail-forward method is about recovering fast and using failure as fuel. Think of it as having a contingency plan for your contingency plan. The faster you bounce back, the more you learn. When things go wrong, analyze the why and adapt quickly. That's how you unlock new opportunities from failure, not just solve the immediate problem. But being adaptive doesn't stop at embracing failure. It's about building systems that help you make real-time changes. Effective feedback loops are essential. These aren't just one-off checks, but ongoing systems that help you gauge the impact of each decision in real time. Then, there's the ability to pivot. Knowing when to change course is key. Recognizing the moment when your current strategy isn't working and adjusting it on the fly. The goal is smooth transitions, not sudden jerks that derail the momentum you've built. Learning while executing is another challenge in adaptive action. High-pressure situations don't leave time for deep analysis. Instead, you need to adapt on the spot, continuously gathering new insights and integrating them into your strategy. Think of it as Kaizen, a philosophy of small, incremental improvements. SpaceX wasn't built in a day, but with each launch, they made small improvements that added up to massive success. It's all about tweaking as you go, not waiting for the perfect moment to pause and reflect. To learn effectively while executing, you need systems that allow rapid integration of new information. Regular check-ins, even if they're brief, can keep you on track. By making every action an opportunity to learn, you can continuously improve, no matter the pressure. In complex systems, changes can have ripple effects. A small adjustment in one area could trigger unintended consequences elsewhere. That's why it's vital to anticipate how a change might spread. Think of a Tesla software update. A tweak here might affect performance elsewhere. The trick is mapping out potential outcomes and staying ahead of the curve. This foresight gives you the agility to respond before those consequences snowball into bigger problems. And if those negative outcomes do happen, you need damage control strategies ready. It's about quickly limiting the damage and preventing it from spreading. The faster you contain a setback, the less it disrupts your trajectory. Mastering adaptive action takes practice. One effective way to hone this skill is through adaptive execution drills, simulating scenarios that require quick adjustments. These exercises help you develop your decision-making process. How quickly can you spot when it's time to change? How well do you adjust on the fly? Another key practice is fail-forward exercises. Here, you deliberately embrace controlled failure, allowing you to practice recovery and learning. It's not about failing for the sake of failure, but building resilience and the ability to learn rapidly from setbacks. Success in adaptive action looks different at different levels. At first, it's about just being able to adjust plans during execution. This core skill lets you stay flexible when things don't go as expected. As you progress, an excellent outcome is the ability to turn setbacks into successes, using obstacles as springboards to leap higher. Finally, the ultimate outcome is mastery, navigating unpredictable situations with confidence, consistently achieving your goals, even when the path isn't clear. Of course, there are pitfalls. Resistance to change is a major one. But you can overcome it by cultivating a mindset of flexibility, constantly reminding yourself that adaptation is key. Another issue is over-adjusting, which can lead to confusion. Balance is crucial. Stay adaptable, but always keep your overarching goals in mind. Lastly, ignoring feedback can cause you to miss out on valuable insights. To counter this, establish reliable feedback systems and make it a habit to respond to them. When you master adaptive action, you'll find that high-pressure situations become less daunting. You'll be able to navigate challenges with confidence, making real-time decisions that lead you to success. But even with the ability to adapt, the question remains, how do you ensure you're consistently making the right calls when the pressure is on? In the next chapter, we'll dive into the Decision Playbook, a personalized toolkit to help you make split-second decisions with the clarity of careful thought. What hidden technique could allow you to make lightning-fast decisions, but with the wisdom of thorough analysis? That answer might just change the way you approach critical moments. Chapter 8. The Decision Playbook. In the world of high-stakes decisions, the difference between success and failure often boils down to one thing: preparation. So, how can you ensure that when the pressure's on, you're not just reacting, but executing with precision? Imagine having a playbook, a tool designed specifically to help you make the best decisions when it counts. A secret weapon, a playbook that gives you clarity in chaos. Sounds powerful, right? But let's break this down. What is a decision playbook? Why is it the key to thriving under pressure? A decision playbook is your personalized roadmap for making choices. It's not some generic one-size-fits-all guide. It's a system crafted around your strengths, your experiences, and the unique challenges you face. This is about creating a decision-making framework that works for you. Think of it like SpaceX's approach to building rockets. They didn't just follow standard procedures, they innovated and tailored their systems to perform at the highest level. Your decision playbook is no different. The power of a playbook comes from its consistency. When you've designed it right, you're not reinventing the wheel every time you make a decision. This consistency under pressure is what separates the winners from the rest. Look at Tesla's aggressive push for electric cars. Every decision they made wasn't spontaneous. It was part of a clear, calculated plan that had been honed over time. A well-crafted decision playbook gives you that same edge. Here's the thing. A decision playbook is dynamic. It's not a set-and-forget tool. As you gain experience, you update it, refine it, and evolve it. Think of it like how Tesla kept iterating on their car models. They didn't stop at the Roadster. They kept improving, adapting to new challenges, and pushing boundaries. Your playbook does the same. It grows with you, becoming sharper and more effective as you face new situations and gather new insights. Now, how do you build your playbook? Start by understanding your own decision-making style. What works best for you? What decisions have you nailed in the past? This isn't about copying someone else's strategy. It's about choosing the tools that feel right for you. Don't just pick up every trick you learn. Pick the ones that align with who you are and what you're trying to achieve. Once you know your style, identify the core components of your playbook. These are your non-negotiable principles, the values and guidelines that anchor every decision you make. For example, maybe you always prioritize long-term vision over short-term gains, like how SpaceX focused on reusable rockets instead of just building disposable ones. Your playbook needs to be built around your core principles, and then you layer on the tools and techniques that will help you execute on them. These tools are your tactical weapons. They could be anything from simple decision trees, scenario mapping, or methods like the radar technique. What matters is that they help you assess situations quickly and decisively. When the pressure's on, you need techniques that can be applied in seconds, not minutes. Next, you document your playbook. Writing it down may seem tedious, but the process brings clarity. You're creating a flexible framework that's always at your fingertips. It's like how engineers at Tesla document every little detail. They don't just keep it in their heads. They make sure it's always accessible. Your decision playbook is the same. You need a structure that's quick to use, but deep enough to rely on. To make your playbook even more practical, build templates for rapid decision-making, checklists, guides, flowcharts, tools that help you analyze situations in real time. It's not about overcomplicating things. It's about streamlining your process so you can make fast, informed decisions without missing a beat. But let's face it, building the playbook is only half the battle. The real magic happens when you use it, when you practice applying it. You need to train yourself, just like an athlete practices before a big game. Create simulations that mirror the pressure of real situations. Time-bound drills, role-playing scenarios, these will sharpen your decision-making skills. Tesla didn't build the Model S without rigorous testing. You shouldn't face a high-stakes decision without having practiced first. You'll need to track your progress too. Success doesn't happen overnight. Set clear benchmarks for yourself. Are you making decisions faster, more accurately, with better outcomes? Tools like decision journals or logs can help you track how you're improving, identify your strengths, and pinpoint areas where you need to sharpen your skills. The goal here is growth, not perfection. Every choice you make is part of the learning process. And speaking of growth, don't stop at just practicing. Keep evolving. Learn new strategies, explore fresh perspectives, and incorporate feedback. Look at how SpaceX constantly learns from each rocket launch. Each failure is a data point for improving the next one. Keep your playbook evolving, adapting it as you gather more insights and feedback from mentors, colleagues, and your own experiences. To master your playbook, make the process personal. Create a workshop where you dive into the specifics of your decision-making process. Refine it, test it, seek feedback from others. But remember, this playbook is yours. It's about building a system that fits you, not someone else's expectations. As you develop your playbook, ask yourself, what does success look like? Maybe it's simply having a basic playbook in place, a step above those who fly by the seat of their pants. Maybe it's refining it regularly, using it to guide your decisions with confidence. The ultimate success? Mastering the system so thoroughly that your decisions are practically second nature, and you handle even the toughest situations like a pro. Of course, pitfalls are inevitable. You might overcomplicate things and create a playbook that's too rigid or too detailed. The fix? Keep it simple. Strip away the unnecessary and focus on what really matters. Your playbook should support your decision-making, not bog it down. Another challenge is neglecting to update your playbook. As you face new challenges, learn from your mistakes and grow. Make sure your playbook evolves with you. Set a regular review cycle to keep it fresh and relevant. And finally, there's the danger of not practicing enough. Having a great playbook is useless if you don't use it regularly. Practice, iterate, refine. The more you put in, the better you'll get. In the end, the decision playbook is a powerful tool that can help you navigate high-stakes decisions with precision and confidence. But you've got to put in the work, develop it, practice it, and most importantly, keep pushing it to the next level. Because when you've got a personalized playbook in hand, there's no decision too big, no challenge too daunting. Ready to take the next step? In the final chapter, we'll explore how mental toughness and resilience can elevate your decision-making game even further. Chapter 9. Mastering the Moment. As we wrap up our journey through high-stakes decision-making, let's take a step back and think of the big picture. What does it really mean to master the moment? How can we take all we've learned and use it, not just in isolated situations, but across the many challenges life throws our way? Mastering the moment isn't about being perfect every time. It's about preparing yourself, a mindset that lets you face high-stakes situations with clarity, confidence, and the adaptability to navigate the unexpected. Because, let's face it, No matter how well we plan, life has a way of throwing curveballs. You have to be ready for that. Think about all the tools you've picked up along the way. From understanding the psychology of pressure to crafting your personal decision playbook, you've developed a powerful toolkit. But here's the kicker. It's not just about using these tools one by one. It's about weaving them together into a system that works for you, no matter the challenge. How can this newfound knowledge change the way you operate? When you walk into high-pressure situations where you might have once hesitated, you'll now have the confidence to move forward. You'll trust your decisions, no second-guessing. And that confidence won't just stay with you, it will spread to everyone around you. In moments of crisis, you'll be the one guiding the ship, the one others turn to for stability and direction. Think back to when I was at SpaceX, and every launch felt like a high-stakes gamble. When things didn't go as planned, the key was keeping calm and leading with confidence. And here's the game changer. This decision-making confidence isn't just about internal growth. It's about how your efficiency sets you apart. You'll be faster, sharper, and more effective. This is what separates the doers from the dreamers. It's about making smarter decisions, faster, whether you're dealing with a new business venture or an unexpected crisis. That's what gives you the edge. But there's another layer. In high-pressure moments, your ability to remain calm and make the right choices is a rock for the people around you. Your decisions become a foundation others can rely on. The calm you exude becomes contagious. Think of how Elon Musk dealt with the pressure of creating electric cars at Tesla or landing rockets at SpaceX. He made tough decisions look easy, inspiring a whole industry in the process. But this doesn't mean you do it all on your own. Part of mastering the moment is knowing how to empower others, sharing your strategies, and helping others level up their decision-making skills. Imagine what happens when you lead by example and show others how to thrive in high-stakes situations. It's like creating a ripple effect of better decisions, spreading far and wide. Over time, you'll notice that your decision-making becomes more second nature. Those moments of hesitation will become fewer. You'll find yourself actively seeking out challenges, knowing that every situation, every decision, is an opportunity to grow. Instead of avoiding uncertainty, you'll welcome it, turning obstacles into stepping stones for creative solutions. The real magic. As you keep practicing, your decision-making becomes almost effortless. This is what psychologists call unconscious competence. It's like how driving becomes second nature after years of experience. You don't have to think about it anymore. The same applies to your decision-making. With time and consistent practice, you'll be navigating complexity without breaking a sweat. That's the sweet spot of mastery. The key to all of this? Integration. It's not just about applying strategies in isolation. It's about making them work together, in harmony, as one cohesive system. It's like building a rocket. You don't just focus on one engine. You make sure every part, from the thrusters to the landing gear, works together seamlessly. Reflection is essential too. Regularly assessing where you are in your journey, identifying what's working, and owning what needs improvement is how you get to the next level. It's about being brutally honest with yourself so you can set ambitious goals for continued growth. True mastery doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's about recognizing the nuances of each situation and adjusting your approach accordingly. You adapt, you evolve. You become the type of person who thrives, not just survives, in the most challenging circumstances. This adaptability is what separates the masters from the rest. And let's not forget that staying sharp involves more than mental effort. Physical fitness and mental well-being are key. Think about how an athlete primes their body before a big race. Similarly, decision-making requires a holistic approach. Regular exercise, mindfulness, and continuous learning will keep your decision-making abilities honed and ready to go. Each challenge you overcome and every decision you nail down becomes another piece in your development as a master decision-maker. This journey never ends. Mastery is a constant process of learning, evolving, and refining. Just like Tesla and SpaceX pushed innovation to new frontiers, you should push your decision-making to new heights. The more you improve, the more others will notice and follow your lead. In the end, mastering the moment isn't just about making good decisions. It's about becoming the person everyone can count on. Someone who can see opportunities where others see problems. Someone who inspires confidence in others even when things get tough. It's about having the ability to stay calm, make tough calls, and lead with clarity and purpose. As we wrap up, remember this: what you've learned is just the beginning. The true power lies in how you use these tools day in and day out, refining them and applying them to make a real impact. The path to mastery is endless. New challenges will arise, and new skills will need to be developed. But the foundation you've built here, that will carry you through anything that comes your way. The world's waiting for you to step up. Armed with the tools and knowledge you've gained, you're ready to turn your decision-making prowess into a force of positive change. The power to innovate, inspire, and lead is in your hands. The future is full of high-stakes moments. Are you ready to meet them? Every decision from here on out is another chance to apply your knowledge, refine your skills, and keep moving toward mastery. The world of high-stakes decision-making is ever evolving, and the challenges will keep coming. But with the strategies you've learned, the foundation you've laid, and the mindset you've built, you're more than ready to face anything.